Hey there, it's Steve from Serious Keto, and this is the Not So Serious Keto video podcast, late for a second week in a row edition. So a few things you may notice. First, obviously, this podcast is coming out on Tuesday instead of Monday for the second week in a row. What else? Oh, I haven't shaved, and periodically you may see me get a little bit glistening, sweaty, and off camera I'll be dabbing at myself like this. The reason is the same for all three, which is this weekend I got absolutely destroyed by the Norovirus. And that is going to be the first topic of this podcast. There may be a little bit of TMI in here, but I think you all can handle it. So the story actually starts early last week. Terry came home from work. She works second shift at a number of different retirement homes. Came home and was pretty violently ill. Just for that night and a little bit into the next day. And I didn't think a whole lot of it until a couple days later it happened to me. So Thursday night, went to bed. I was kind of weak on Thursday. I noticed as I was trying to work out, do some strength training, I lasted 4 minutes. That was it. And I'm just like, today, not the day. So went to bed Thursday night, and let's take a look at what my sleep stats were like. This will be rather telling. So this is from the Withings sleep mat right here. You'll notice 10 interruptions. That's 10 times I got up in the middle of the night to utilize the bathroom. If you look at my Ultrahuman Ring score, you can see, look at the awake time. 4 hours and 10 minutes was spent awake. You can see down below that bar there. That was all the time I spent in the bathroom. And it was awful. I can tell you honestly, I have not been this sick in 30 years. I mean, about 30 years ago, I had pneumonia. And even though that was pretty awful, it wasn't as violent to my body on both ends as this was. It was really undescribable. It was horrific. So besides all the projectile action north and south that was going on, just body aches, just general misery, fever. It was horrible. And then just my body was making these noises down here, these percolating noises, and occasionally it would sound like the door in an old horror movie, like a big wooden door to a castle, like opening up. Just really, it would have been funny if I hadn't been in such misery the whole time. And even up until yesterday, I was so weak that just walking up a flight of stairs, I had to sit down or lay down. It was that tough. I felt like I had just done squats to failure. It was, even when I was 70 pounds heavier than I am now, I didn't get that tired going upstairs. On the bright side, I did lose 8 pounds. It was sort of an unintentional fast that occurred. And then yesterday I did my refeed, had a couple of meals, and I only put back on 0.7 pounds. So, I don't know. There's, I guess, a silver lining to all of that. Now, you may be asking, did you get the flu shot, Steve? No, I did not get a flu shot this year. I haven't gotten a flu shot, I think, since I went keto. Back when I worked at GE, they'd have flu shot day and it was free. You'd go down to the cafeteria, you'd get your flu shot. And I've found that, for me at least, flu shots can be kind of hit or miss. So this is not a vaccine thing, anti-vax thing, anything like that. Just flu shots by their nature tend to be sort of hit or miss. There are 4 primary variations of influenza. So here's the sciencey part of this podcast. 4 primary variations, A, B, C, and D. And my understanding is A and B are the most prevalent. But within A, there are several different subtypes. There is I think it's the H class and the N class. So like when you see a virus named H1N1, that's one of the variations. The thing is, if my calculations are correct, there are almost 200 variations of just influenza A. And my further understanding, or potentially misunderstanding, is that when flu viruses or flu vaccines are developed, what they do is they try and take their best guess at what is going to be the most prevalent strains of influenza for the season, and then build up an immunity to that through the vaccine or the shot. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it makes you feel maybe cruddy for a day after the shot, sometimes it doesn't. And I just kind of thought, what's the point? If it's hit or miss, what's the point? That opinion changed this weekend. I mean, if there were even a 50-50 chance that I could avoid feeling the way that I felt this past weekend, I would take it. I would take it in a heartbeat. I think another reason that I quit getting the flu shot is my first 2 or 3 years during doing keto, I didn't get sick, I think, at all. It was amazing. I felt superhuman. Given that pre-keto, I got sick a lot, a few times a year. You could pretty much count on October and February, I would get strep throat, and then I would get some sort of flu, I would get seasonal allergies. I had a lot of trips, I think, to the doctor, or was taking a lot of various medications, flu medication, cold medication, allergy medication. And so much of that just went away when I did keto. And like I said, I started feeling maybe a little bit too cocky in terms of my health. So I will probably go back to getting the flu shot starting next year. Moving on to the second half of this podcast, and I think this may be a slightly shorter podcast just because I'm still not 100%. But one of the things I've realized that I need to quit doing is quit going on Facebook. I go onto Facebook, mainly I open up the app just to see if there were any comments on any of my posts, which is generally just a recipe post. It's hey, I released a recipe video this week. Or, if I've gotten any direct messages or anything like that. And somehow Facebook must have determined I want to see the most argumentative comment type groups that there are out on Facebook. So first, I get a lot of conspiracy theory stuff. I got to keep saying, nope, not interested, not interested. I don't know why I've been targeted for that. But then, of course, I get a lot of keto and carnivore videos. And first, let's talk about the carnivore videos. It's an odd collection that seems to show up, at least in public type groups. I'm sure private groups are different. They're more regulated, more moderated. But first off, people showing pictures of their meals. And a significant portion of them, everybody's got a handgun. There's a Glock, there's a Beretta, whatever it is. I don't know, maybe there's some sort of an inside joke that I'm not aware of there. So there's that, and then you get people arguing about that. And then people that are like, oh, I'm carnivore, here's my carnivore meal, and it's a steak, but then there's a big pile of French fries next to it. And I don't know if these are people trolling other people or if it's people that don't really understand carnivore or what exactly it is. And you get a lot of that fighting that goes on. In addition, you get like the vegans that show up. There'll be anti-vegan posts, and then there'll be vegans that come in and talk about that, or there's just pro-carnivore posts and vegans that come in, and that I don't understand as well. Like, I would never go to a place where I know I'm not welcome, where I know that whatever I say, no matter how eloquently or passionately I say it, I'm just going to get roasted. So that I don't understand. I don't know why you go into hostile territory, but I think it's probably because some people just enjoy doing that. Some people just want to watch the world burn. Anyhow, so there's that. And then, of course, anytime anyone is cooking a steak, everybody's got an opinion on it. So if someone has a picture of a steak with A1 steak sauce, everyone's like, okay, first off, that's not carnivore. Second off, that's disrespecting a steak, which I personally agree with. To me, steak sauce is the juice that comes out of the steak or the butter you melt on it. What's the other? Oh, overcooking the steaks. Now, I know there are opinions on this. It's a matter of taste. I'm a medium rare guy. And to me, the moment you start getting up into medium, that's a bit of sadness for me. I know not everybody's that way, but just the fighting over how people cook a steak, it is absolutely toxic out there. Then there are the keto groups, at least the public ones that I see. And what I see is really two major categories there. One is fake recipes, fake pictures. I believe this is just AI generated, or people just copying other people's pictures and reposting stuff. You see pictures that are clearly impossible from a keto standpoint, like a ciabatta type of a bread. You see these big air pockets and the obvious gluten structure that's in it. it's just, that's not keto. You know it's not keto. And then, the ingredient list, you look at it and it's like almond flour, egg, and cheese. Okay, that's not going to produce this. I mean, I'm not an expert keto baker, but I know this much. And then all the pictures say linked recipe in the first comment, and you go there and it's one of these awful, awful recipe websites. It's just ad after pop-up, and like scrolling and scrolling and scrolling to get down to the recipe, and it's just miserable. So it's one of those things, though, that does make me sort of proud of SeriousKeto.com. I like to think this is a very clean website. You get to the recipe, there's not a lot of extraneous BS. It's just you go there, you hit the print button. By the way, make sure the button that you press to print is the one that's on the little picture of the food. It's right next to the Pinterest button. That's the one you press to print for a nice clean printout. Anyhow, so there's that aspect of Facebook, the recipes, the fake recipes, the spamming advertising website recipes. The other thing is there seems to be almost a celebration of dirty keto. And I am not the keto police by any stretch. But some of the stuff that you see out there, it makes me shake my head. I think the main one that I see daily, multiple times daily, is people using the Mission Zero Net Carb tortillas. That's another thing, is a lot of people will post something and they're like, look at my zero carb tacos. Well, they're not zero carb. They're probably not even zero net carb. But that aside, I see a ton of posts that have Mission tortillas. And this is just one example, I'm not singling them out. But as I found in my experience and my testing and my reviews, not only does that brand spike my blood glucose, but also I know that at least some of their tortillas contain hydrogenated soybean oil, or just soybean oil, or canola oil. So all of those to me are inflammatory. And I'm not being the ingredient police here, I'm just saying that why would you want to put that into your body when you could go with a different brand, a common store brand? For me, that would be La Banderita or Olé Extreme Wellness. They're both made by the same company. So if you are using keto tortillas, or keto tortillas, keto labeled tortillas, and you find that your progress is stalled, first off, I would say, are you using Mission? If so, I'd recommend you switch. But then also, still, you got to kind of treat these things, in my opinion, as a treat. It's a once or twice a week sort of thing, whether it's a keto bread that you found doesn't impact your glucose, if you find it's a keto tortilla, basically any sort of a keto bread type product. But back to the whole Facebook thing, I've just found that I've become a little bit of a slave to clicking on that comments button, and whenever I do, I feel less happy with humanity, I guess is the answer. So I'm definitely going to be limiting my Facebook access outside of posting links to my videos. It's a mental health thing. So I'm going to wrap this up with one final topic, because I think I may have overestimated my health when I started this podcast. I'm kind of cycling in and out of a fever here, I think. And that is related to the chipmunk cookie sandwiches that I did a review on. I think was it last week, the week before? Chipmunk sent me some really nice sized cookie sandwiches to review. I'd say, about this big. Maybe that's a little large, but about the size of a whoopie pie. And then in the couple of days between when I filmed and when I published that video, Chipmunk changed the size. They made them smaller, and they didn't notify me about this. They did reduce the price by $1, but I feel, in a way, a little bit betrayed, a little bit set up, because you send me a product and I review the product as is, and then what you sell to my viewers is a different product, and you didn't notify me. And I suspect I'll be having a conversation with Chipmunk about this. This disappoints me. I feel that it makes me look bad, because I would never deceive you. I go out of my way, even when it's a brand that I'm a partner with, a brand that I like. If they produce something I don't like, I tell you to avoid it. And like I said, I feel it makes me look deceptive, and that bothers me. So to that end, it's important to me that if you ever have a bad experience with one of the companies that I'm partnered with, and you contact them and you feel that the interaction with their customer service was not to your liking or blowing you off or something like that, it's important for me to hear about it. I mean, it's important to me too when they take care of you. So, for example, Unbelievabuns. That's the first thing that came into my mind. An order got shipped. It was, I think, a cross-country order, and it got hung up someplace. Unbelievabuns, made without preservatives. It's like real bread. It should be kept, cold, frozen. And it took a week to get there, and by the time it got there, the buns were moldy. The customer contacted Jared at Unbelievabuns. Unbelievabuns sent him a new order. I love hearing examples like that. But if I also hear they completely blew me off, they told me, screw you, I want to hear about that as well after you've contacted them. I'll also probably ask you then to share any sort of correspondence with me, because that allows me to do a little bit of detective work as well. Sometimes the company's to blame. Sometimes you've got just an entitled customer trying to get something for free, and I can investigate that. And there have been situations where I have quit partnering with companies because of certain customer interactions. So if any of you have a bad interaction like that, or a good interaction on a product that I'm partnered with or a company I am partnered with, please let me know, because I want to have your back. Now, I think I've gone through this whole podcast without mentioning my birthday, March 17th. Just so you know, there will be at least one little birthday surprise for you, probably this Wednesday. In fact, I can almost predict it. So come back tomorrow for my birthday present back to you. And thanks for watching.